Hello, this is High Templar. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to ask a strange question. Which Rome 2 patch should you play? And first I wanted to answer the question, why do we even ask such a question? Because it's quite a weird question to ask. In any other game I know, you would just play the newest, and maybe if there is something broken with the newest patch, you would just revert to the old one and wait for the things to be fixed. It's not quite as simple in Rome 2, and this video is targeted at new players and the players that are coming back, so they will have nasty surprises. It's also worth mentioning that Rome 2 is still selling very well. It is number 2 during the holiday sale in some of the portals, and it was bronze in Steam, so even though it wasn't that cheap on the Steam, but it is still selling very well. It was the second Total War game in sales. So there are new players to this game. And basically, let's talk about patches. And I want to start with saying that I love this game, and I will not be, this will not be a run. This will be me telling you what changes are made in the 3 stages, I would think. I would see as places when you can play that. So this is patch 20, 19 and 16. And I will tell you good and bad things about all those patches. And I will start with the newest. This is Ancestral or patch 20, which introduced many new things, improvements to graphics. And you can see that on the Total War channel and Total War page. They are quite amazing, and you can watch them right now. Some of them actually. Most of them will be able, like reflections on the battle maps, many things you will be able to see in the battle maps, and improve lightning during the night battles and all that. It's actually very nice. However, the patch 20 introduced also many changes to the game, how the game is being played, and also introduced some new bugs. These bugs, while in general I am very happy in how the development goes and what direction development goes, there are few things that might break your game here in one way or the other. First one is bugs, and there are a few bugs that are very annoying, and I'm not sure they will be fixed because they were not mentioned in known issues. I did report 2 of them. I came upon them by chance in doing actually the video on the Rise of the Republic unit quirks, when one of the enemy missile units just glitched out and wouldn't shoot at my unit, which obviously makes my inferior unit to win by far, by large margin, and it makes basically enemy missile units much less effective, and this is quite common. I've seen it a lot when I'm playing with 20. You would be able to defeat enemies with missile troops much easier than you would normally do, and I don't like that. I do play on highest difficulty, and I think that the balance for the enemy should be that the missile troops should be decent, right? Otherwise you wouldn't need to do any tactics against it. So this is one of the bugs that is quite bothering me, but this is not the only one. I'm just mentioning it. The other thing is changes to the imbalancing, basically, and that comes with the new political system. Now the new political system is awesome. Some of it is done in the patch 16, the rest is done in the 20, and the family trees are in the 20. They are quite, I don't particularly need them. I don't think they are necessary, but I know I am in the minority, or at least I'm in the vocal minority, because it seems like many people wanted that. And it also improves the intrigues, which are absolutely excellent right now. Before, anything you wanted to do, you had to pay with influence. Now you pay with gravitas. So what that means? Well, basically, the political system is all your characters have some gravitas, like this guy has 140 and this guy has 41. If you add all the gravitas of all the characters, alive and dead, of your family and those guys, for example, Hellenic supporters, all alive and dead, you must remember that. If your general dies, you wouldn't lose any influence. So this is entire gravitas is basically 100% influence. And then you divide it, and you will get how much your family has influence. So now, for example, I have 90%, right? I have 90% because I had 88 a second ago, and I will show you what I did. I had 88. You can break that by doing two things. One is the purge, and the other one, the purge is quite costly. You could increase your influence by decreasing influence of other parties. If you have many parties, the influence will go to all others, including yours. So if there is only one, you are getting quite a bunch of influence, up to 4%. But it is quite costly when it comes to loyalty of other parties and loyalty of the party that you are purging, quite obviously. Right? So that is a problem, obviously. And you can offset it by securing loyalty, which I did a second ago. But the issue here is one button basically here. All of that is amazing. I love it. It's done great, and I've made a discussion about it. However, there is one that's broken. In the turn 23, when all my guys have reset skills, they have no skills. There is already one guy who, even without skills, already has 7 zeal. You have to have 7 zeal or 7 authority to gather support. And gather support gives plus 2% influence to your party. And you are getting -2 loyalty for other parties. Which means if I press this, I'm getting 92%. And those guys still love me. I mean, it's -7, instead of -7, it's -9. Risk is still 0%. And I'm 92% influence, which would not be, and you can press it as many, I mean, it increased a little bit in cost, that like first one was for 300, and now it's 900, and my income right now is, quite substantial. And this is like no problem, you can do it all the time. It's totally broken. Almost no loyalty to other parties. It costs almost nothing. It's basically I win button for politics, and I don't like it. The other thing is some of the skills. There are great skills. The skill remake for the patch 20 Ancestral patch is amazing, but there are a few problems. Like all the generals have skills that are only working there are some skills that are only for their party, like this one, for example, Desert Leader. Only Desert Kingdoms will have that, right? And the Carthage will have theirs, and the Greeks will have theirs, which are also amazing, and even those guys will have their own skills. However, every spy that I've seen so far has this trait, this ability, Hunter. Now look at this. Hunter, this guy, turn 23, this guy already is almost level 7, which means he will be able to get, I believe, second level of a Hunter, which would give me, if I embed him in the army, plus 20% campaign movement rate, plus 10% missile damage, and plus 10% missile range for all units in this army, and going up to even 50% more. Plus 30, plus 15, plus 15. If you do not get your spies this skill, you are silly. You embed them in the army, you do nothing else but this, because this is the most overpowered thing ever. And that is, again, a problem for me. This is largely unbalanced, and you would have to basically decide that you are not using this overpowered stuff. And this is not the only one. I'm just showing you how bad it is, how ridiculously overpowered this one is, for example. And any missile army, I mean, not even normal army would usually have like 5-6 missile units, might have sometimes, 10. So maybe it's not best example, but for me it would be super overpowered. I think I have like some Epirian armies that have 12 range units. So imagine 12 units and that kind of a boost. It's insane. It's basically insane. Alright, so this is a problem. There are some bugs, there are some imbalances, but the general direction where they are going is great. But I don't think they will fix those imbalances. I don't think they are working on it at all. I'm afraid this is something they wanted to have, and it would be quite a bit of work to do that. I am a bit hopeful. I hope they will change it. I would love to play patch 20, but right now I'm strongly discouraged from doing so. Now let's talk about patch 19. Patches 17 to 19 has overworked the politics, but you will not have those intrigues. There will be others you will be sending. There will be no family tree, but you will still be able to send on some missions, diplomatic missions, administrations, feasts, your guys that are not, and gals, that are not engaged in military business, basically. And that's great. You also have those political parties, which are also amazing. You can still secure loyalty and purge, and there are some other options. I mean, never mind. I'm not going into too much details in here. But what I mean is, it is still pretty good, and it doesn't have bugs. So I will be playing it for Desert Kingdoms, because patch 19, only patch 19 has Desert Kingdoms, and I cannot go any further. There is one problem with secession mechanics. Like, it's slightly, you are running a risk if your parties get below 10, minus 10, you have a risk of secession, but you can offset it quite easily. You can like marry your, I mean, it's not possible in this particular patch, because you have to, for political marriage, you have to have party loyalty at 10, but it's possible in patch 16 to 19 to get a political marriage that will, as long as the spouse is alive, give you +3. So that's quite a boost, and you can get over this -10 and avoid the secession. However, generally, if you know how you are playing, you will never get secession unless you want to. Or unless you are extremely unlucky, but I haven't seen quite a case so far. So the secessions are quite easy to avoid if you understand how they work. And if you have problems with that, I highly recommend one of my videos when I'm the patches 16 to 19 politics guide, which tells you how to avoid all that and how to get very high influence and all that. So basically the secessions are targeting weaker players, and it makes their game even harder, and I don't think that's a very good trait for a game to punish. I mean, yes, I understand in normal cases, if you are bad at politics, you would get that, but it makes people frustrated. And I understand how it can be frustrating for some people. Personally, I don't mind. For me personally, the problem is that they are so easy to avoid. Because you just can choose not to have secessions and quite easily avoid them or even trigger them to gain influence because you feel like it. You just take away everything from the other party, every army. So like here, they have no armies. This guy is not an officer, only officers. are in my, all the admirals, all the generals are in from my dynasty. So not going to happen. Anything but is not going to happen. Also, they will get one of the provinces will be taken, but it's quite mild. Right now they will take Syria, which would be a problem, but you know, all my armies are here, they will be able to crush that rebellion in like 3 turns. So that's no problem as well. And later on, this will go to the edges of your empire. Right after you conquer something, it will be yours, and then basically the other parties will take it, and the Syria will be mine. And this is also a problem because it's no change at all. You have armies on the border of your empire, one way or the other. You will be able to crush it so easily. It's no change at all. It's like zero change. Now let's go to the patch 16. Patch 16 is amazing, and is the one that I love the most, and I'll explain why. Now every other game has something of a challenge at the end, and Total War games were no different. In Medieval 2 we had Mongol invasion. In Shogun 2 we had Realm Divided. When you had half of the lands, everybody started to hate you, and they confederate and they want to kill you basically. And that was quite fun. You are fighting against everyone. You are getting that final challenge. In Warhammer 1 you get Chaos Invasion, and the Chaos Invasion first mod that came out for the Chaos Invasion was to make it stronger. And I understand that people wanted to make it really scary, to make it very, very powerful, so it would be hard to defend it, so it would feel epic to defeat them. And Warhammer 2 had kind of a Realm Divide as well, when if you progressed in the rituals, other races will hate you. I mean a lot. And the politics will be impossible, and they will start declaring war on you. So this is basically the same as Realm Divide. And the most epic final crisis I had was in Thrones of Britannia. Otherwise, not a best game. But Thrones of Britannia did have Viking invasion when the Normans and Danes and Norse attacked you from 3 sides at the end of the game, and you were warned about it, and they popped up. You wouldn't know exactly where they will pop up, but they did, and they are invading you. There is 21 stacks total, and that was awesome, and defeating them felt awesome. Now in the patches 17 till 19, you maybe are getting 1 stack. It will be elite stack, but it is 1 stack with 1 mid-grade army. If you know what you are doing, you can defeat it. If you are not as versed player, maybe you need 2, but you should probably have 2 armies in the area, one way or the other. So, no change. In patch 16, you will have several stacks spawned somewhere in the Empire, somewhere not where your armies are, somewhere... I don't want to make a spoiler, basically. If you know, you know that it's bad. Civil War was quite epic. I feel that is the most epic, even though it doesn't spawn 21 stacks. It spawns like 9 or 13 stacks. It is still quite epic when you will see that, and they tend to be more on the elite side. Maybe not all of them, but you know, they can be elite if they are late in the game. And they were somewhat based on your own strength, so you should be expecting a challenge, basically. And also, you would only get them if you are a good player. What I mean by that? It's easy to get them if you are Roman Carthage, because you only need to have 50 influence and Imperium level higher than 4. 4 and higher, you would get increased chance of getting Civil War. And for non-Republican factions, non-factions like Eastern Empires, whatever, non-Rome, non-Carthage, it's quite harder because you would have to have 70 if my memory serves me well. 70. I've seen some of the prominent YouTubers not getting that much influence in their campaigns. So it's not easy to do that. If you want to do that, you can see my other politics guide, which was done quite some time ago. Maybe not best sound quality, but it should be reasonably good, and it will explain to you how do you play politics in patch 16 and before. And for me that was absolutely amazing, and for me that was the patches 17 plus basically takes the final boss from your game and replace it with some normal mob, and also shows you a corridor that says choose this way if you're not stupid, or go to boss if you are. I mean, you are not even getting an achievement or anything, just like... And that's really underwhelming, let's just say that. And I don't like this about patch 17, and I don't like that I cannot play Descent Kingdoms in patch 16, because I would love that. However, there is a warning for the patch 16 as well. You will not be able to play it in 4K because the UI you will not be able to scale your UI. So there is a problem. It is quite huge for me, for example, because I do play in 4K. So that's all basically. That's all pros and cons, which patch should you play, and so on and so forth. If you are a new player, don't have all the add-ons, I would suggest going for the patch 16. However, the politics there is not as easy to understand it's not as obvious as here, basically. You need to understand how the gravitas works, and that you need to do all the politics at the beginning of the game, and get as many guys from your family at the beginning of the game, because then it's not as problematic. And then, as the game progresses, you will lose more and more influence. But maybe it's not a bad thing, because, the Civil War. And yeah, that's it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will. See my other videos, and see you later. Bye.